No one expected the jungle to go silent that morning, but something was off the moment Caleb stepped into the clearing. The leaves above rustled, not from the wind, but from the weight of the unknown. He was not supposed to be there, not that deep. Not that alone, not that confident, but Caleb was never one to follow the rules. His camera hung loosely around his neck, a rookie explorer with dreams far larger than his caution. He wanted the perfect shot. He wanted to prove himself. He wanted to show the world he could capture something no one else dared to face. But what he was about to witness would burn itself into his memory forever. It started with a distant thud. Not loud, just heavy, like something powerful landing quietly with purpose. Caleb froze his heart, pounding faster than his thoughts. The bushes ahead shifted slowly, deliberately, and then he saw it. A towering figure stepped out, muscles like boulders, skin glistening under shafts of sunlight that broke through the canopy. It was the silverback, not just any, but the oldest, most feared in that region, the leader of the troop, the guardian of generations. Caleb should have turned back, but his instincts lost the battle to curiosity. He lifted his camera, slowly trying not to breathe too loudly, but in doing so, he forgot one rule: never look a dominant gorilla in the eye. And Caleb looked. The silverback's nostrils flared, his massive head tilted slightly, as if measuring the intent of the young man who stood shaking with a lens between him and fate. In one sudden motion, the giant moved forward, not charging, not aggressive, just precise. Caleb's legs gave up. He stumbled back, tripping over a root, landing hard on his back, the camera clattering beside him. That was when the silverback closed the distance, standing just inches away. Caleb could see every wrinkle, every scar, every story etched in the face of this beast, and then something unexpected happened. The gorilla raised his hand slowly, not with fury, but with a strange control, and then, with the weight of a mountain, he slapped Caleb across the chest. Not hard enough to kill, not gentle enough to forget. Caleb gasped, the wind knocked out of him, his mind spinning, but the gorilla did not move further. He just stared as if waiting for something. And then the jungle reacted. Birds scattered from the trees, monkeys screamed from the branches, and even the insects seemed to go quiet. The echo of the slap carried through the forest like a warning, like a call. And the troop arrived. One by one, they emerged from the undergrowth, massive females, with young clinging to their backs. Juveniles curious yet cautious, and others bigger, older males who respected the silent command of their leader. Caleb tried to sit up, but the pain in his ribs held him down. He thought it was the end. He truly believed he would become one of those stories told in whispers around campfires. But then the silverback did something no one could have predicted. He turned his back on Caleb. In the world of gorillas, this was not ignorance. It was mercy. It was a message that said, you are not a threat, but you are not welcome either. The others followed, walking past Caleb with eyes that held more wisdom than fear. One juvenile stopped beside him, looking into his eyes, not with anger, but with a strange sense of sorrow. As if the jungle had judged him and found him foolish but forgivable. Hours passed before Caleb found the strength to move. He crawled to his camera, shocked to find it intact, and then he looked through the footage. The lens had caught everything. Every breath, every stare, every moment that separated life from death. When he finally returned to the research station, the others listened in silence. No one interrupted, no one doubted him. Because they knew the silverback. They knew he had not struck to punish, but to warn. Caleb spent days reviewing the video, not to relive the fear, but to understand it. He saw how his own presence had disrupted a delicate balance, how his intrusion had almost cost him more than pain. And in that process he grew, not just as a documentarian, but as a human. He returned to the jungle months later this time, not with ambition, but with humility. He stayed at a distance. He learned the rhythms of the forest. He watched, not as a conqueror, but as a guest. The silverback saw him again, this time from afar, and did not approach. He simply watched and then turned away once more. That was the moment Caleb knew he had been forgiven. And that forgiveness carried a weight heavier than any slap, because it came from something ancient, from something wild, from something pure. Years later, Caleb's footage went viral, not for the slap, but for what followed. People did not watch to see a man struck, they watched to see a man change. The video became a symbol, a reminder that nature does not owe us anything, that we are visitors in a world we barely understand. It was used in classrooms, in documentaries, in conservation campaigns. But more than that, it stayed in Caleb's heart as the single moment that reshaped his soul. He often returned to the spot where it all happened, not to film, not to seek, but to sit, to feel the weight of the air, the rhythm of the leaves, the gaze of unseen watchers. And each time he left with a little more understanding and a little less pride, because the jungle does not forget, but sometimes it forgives. And the silverback who once lifted his hand in warning had also opened the door to wisdom. Caleb never spoke of the pain, never showed the scar, not because it was shameful, but because it was sacred. A mark not of punishment, but of permission. A slap that said, grow, not go. And Caleb did. He grew into someone who listened before he spoke, who watched before he moved, who respected before he recorded. The forest changed him because it challenged him. And in that challenge, he found clarity. So the next time you walk into a place you do not understand, remember this. Sometimes the greatest lessons do not come from words, but from silence. From eyes that judge without hate, from creatures that do not need to speak to be heard. And if you are lucky, you will be slapped not to be hurt, but to be woken up. Because some awakenings require more than sound, they require shock. And that is not violence, that is truth.